Hi everyone. In case this is the first video of mine you're stumbling across, firstly I would 100% recommend watching some others because I will do a quick recap, but I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's a very long story. But to try and keep it as brief as possible, for over 3 years now, the neighbourhood policing team from Darwin and Blackburn police in general have allowed me to be harassed non-stop for 3 years. When it first began, I was trapped in the house for 9 months. They were outside my house countless hours a day, harassing me, belittling me, running through my garden, getting children to run through my garden, knocking on my door, ringing my ring doorbell, getting footballs kicked at my car aggressively, ball games in general, tennis, cricket, all against my car, balls hitting my car, in and out my garden, doing it at the side of my house, doing it at the back of my house, up and down my drive, doing all sorts of things to intimidate me, harass me, make my life a living hell. I couldn't go in the kitchen when I wanted, like loads of things. I will do a video, if I've not already done so far, on some of the things that were done and some of the ways that I felt and the way I was having to live my life. I did start to go out reluctantly. I didn't want to go out. I'd go out once a week. I didn't leave the house alone. I didn't come home alone. It was very stressful. And then when I started to go out another time, because I was trying to go out twice a week, it was the worst thing ever, trying to leave the street, trying to come home, the way I was feeling, that the people were trying to approach me and scare me. The police have allowed the harassment, even though I've proved harassment, like really proved harassment, and also quite serious crimes have gone on. I've got crime numbers, but the police don't allow it or don't investigate it properly. They just let him get away with it. Due to being a vulnerable adult, I feel like the police have tried to criminalise me, and they've basically allowed this thing to continue and not do anything about it. Even though I've tried to take my own life on numerous occasions, I can't live my life the way I want to. I'm stopped from living my life in various ways. There's loads of things that have gone on that are harassment, threats to kill, trespass, criminal damage, and much more. Because of that, and plus because the police have bullied me, belittled me, made me feel horrendous, and won't do anything about these crimes yet. They basically made it clear if I did the same thing, which I wouldn't because I'm not a nasty person. I wouldn't even think to do any of these things, but they made it clear if I did one of these things, they would arrest me for it and charge me for it. So they're basically allowing people to break the law, and they're protecting them. And there are videos, if they've not gone up, will be going up as why we feel this is to be the case, where they're basically allowed to break the law, the Neighbours. But again, the police have been horrific. Professional standards have covered it up. They've covered up everything. So I've been left with no choice after several conversations, well, more than several conversations, to make this public, because this is an issue that's not only affected me and stopped me from having a life for 3 years and still stopping me from having a life and leaving me in danger, but also other people that are not related to me or have nothing to do with me have been treated this way by the police. Maggie Oliver said that the police tried to criminalise vulnerable adults rather than dealing with crime that's happening to them. I've been lied about by the police, I've been lied to, and I have been putting videos together to expose that as well. So this video is about PC Harry Stainton, PC Lisa Morgan, and Inspector Scott Boast, formerly of the neighbourhood team. So Scott Boast had rang me up, and I will be doing, if I've not already done so, a video on that phone call because of what he caused, how he made me feel during that conversation, what he did and didn't do, and how he caused this situation which I'm now about to discuss. So during the conversation, Scott Boast wanted me to have Harry Stainton 8681 at my house and to show him some CCTV. I didn't particularly want Harry in the house anymore. Harry had been at the house several times. Every time the police come here, the neighbours target me even more, and they would make it worse. I mean, it was already the worst harassment I've ever even known about. Like, when people talk about harassment or what's happened to them, this was like a million times worse. Like, I've never experienced or known of anything this bad, and the police allowed it to continue. So basically, when the police came to the house, the neighbours would then basically make me pay for having the police at my house. Now, I'm entitled to have the police at the house, and because of that, my dad actually, along with me, said we can't have the police at the house anymore. Because the police are doing nothing, allowing to continue, even though they're actually saying crimes are happening. And B, I get heavily targeted because the police have been here. The police could be here for any number of reasons, yet the neighbours, who were putting me through hell, got me to try and end my life numerous times, and then targeting me more because the police have been here. So Scott Boast wanted Harry at the house. Now, to give a bit of background on Harry and the situation involving Harry coming to the house, I didn't want the police in my house at all to begin with. I'd been trapped in the house by my neighbours for a while before Harry actually came to the house, and also during lockdown 2020, when they were saying like if you're vulnerable towards illnesses and like catching things because of your physical health, you need to self-isolate. I've got a physical illness where I was meant to self-isolate for, so for 9 months I didn't leave the house. It was between 8 and 9 months I didn't leave the house for, because of advice from people like doctors and etc. So I didn't go out, and I was trapped in the house for the height of the pandemic. Do you know, when people, where you were only allowed out for 1 hour a day and like you could only go to work and stuff, that was the time. So because of that, I had started to go out. I'd started to go out in the August of that year, basically just to do the food shopping, and because I'd been isolated away from the world, it was kind of nerve-wracking to go out, because I'd not experienced, like most people had at least gone to the shop, and if they couldn't work from home they'd gone to work and they'd seen people. I hadn't, so it was very stressful for me to go out into the unknown, as it was for me then. But then I was going out every week, and it got easier because you get used to it. But then this harassment started in the March, and I was back to being trapped in the house, and it made me nervous, and I didn't feel comfortable around people because of how I'd been made to feel from the neighbours and what they were doing to me. So I got talked into letting Harry Stainton in the house by Sergeant Sean Pearson, who wasn't there by the time this video that I'm talking about, well, you're going to hear a video basically, which I'm going to break up into sections. But basically Sean Pearson talked me into having Harry in the house, and it would only just be Harry, because he knew I wasn't comfortable having anyone else, and I wasn't particularly comfortable having anyone at all. But they wanted to view footage, and the only way they could view it at that time, although they can view it different ways now, was for Harry to come and view the footage. But I didn't want to do it. I was nervous and I was uncomfortable about the whole thing. But Sean assured me that if any police officer needed to attend the house, it would always be Harry, and he'd always come alone. So during the conversation with Scott Boast, again, and I do have the evidence of this, I've listened just to a bit of it because I was going to do that video. I haven't actually filmed it yet. I was going to do that before this one, but this is easy to do because that Scott Boast video is just, it's horrendous. It is really horrendous having to listen back to the way he was. So basically, and I just checked it, he basically says, when do you want Harry to come round? What time do you want Harry to come? So he basically indicates it's just going to be Harry. He doesn't mention anyone else, just Harry. And I said, when Harry comes, blah, blah, blah. So there was no miscommunication. It was basically put to me that Harry would be attending alone. So basically, sorry, I was just being distracted by a neighbour trying to hit my car with something. Again, evidence, I'm glad I heard that. So, on that day, and like I said, I was nervous around the police anyway, because I've not had a good experience, because I was bullied for numerous months by DC Melisa Chadwick, who pushed and pushed me until I tried to end my life, and then she was sent to the hospital. So I'm not the biggest fan of the police being around me because of what she did to me. And I'm not saying all police officers are like DC Chadwick, because I think if they were, you know, there'd be a lot of stuff in the news, because you just couldn't justify all these police officers being like that. So, you know, I didn't particularly want him in the house, but I was going to play what they wanted me to play, which in the end I didn't get to play. So on the day, obviously, I was on the camera waiting for Harry to arrive, because he actually did come late, and he starts walking up the path with someone. So immediately my anxiety went into full force. I started to panic. This wasn't arranged. You can't just put things on me like that. If you've got any kind of anxieties or anything like that, or if you've been trapped in the house with the neighbours, I was nervous around people. So him turning up with someone else literally put me on edge. I was panicked. My heart rate was like, do you know when you can feel your heart in your throat? I felt sick because this was not arranged. It was not discussed, and it was made clear day one by Sean Pearson that I would never be put in the position where more than one turned up. He said the only time that two may turn up is, you know, if there was an incident and someone rung 999, they obviously would send more than one, because if it was a serious incident, they just wouldn't send one. It would just depend, wouldn't it? So I quickly rang my dad before they got to the front door, and he's like, they're bang out of order. I said, well, I'm not letting them in because they've literally put me in this situation where I'm physically shaking, my heart feels like it's going to come out my bloody throat, and I feel panicked because they've put this upon me. So then they just basically were here for about 25 to 30 minutes, standing, shouting through my door. And Lisa Morgan was very patronising in the way she talked. She talked down to me. She talked like I was stupid. And like, I'm sat there thinking, like, why is she talking to me like that? She weren't talking to me. Do you know, like I'm just chatting now where you're just talking to someone. She made me feel like she was talking to me like I was stupid. She was just over the top. And then during the conversation, Harry's like saying, you were made aware of this, you knew this was going to happen. No, I wasn't. And when I told him that, he was basically saying, without actually saying the words, he was basically calling me a liar. And that just got me more and more stressed out. Now, he knew I was stressed, and anyone with any kind of experience within the police, and I know he was quite new into the police, but, you know, he's trained. He's stressing me out, and he didn't try to de-escalate this situation. He just let this situation continue, and he could tell I was stressed out. It was obvious I was stressed out. I was really panicked, because obviously two turning up when I'd agreed to one. I was nervous wreck because of the neighbours. I'd been talked into letting Harry in the first place. The conversation with Scott Boast was just about Harry attending. Now they're standing outside saying, Scott Boast said, you knew, blah, blah, blah. No, I didn't know, and it was put upon me. Now in the video, you'll be able to hear I'm much louder than them. I'm sat at least a third away up the stairs, and they're at the front door. So there's a good distance between me and them. Obviously, the phone is right next to me, so you're going to hear me much clearer than you're going to hear them. But I am going to play the video, and you know, you're going to go, you're being awkward, you're being difficult. I'm not being awkward, I'm not being difficult. At the end of the day, it was arranged. Harry would attend alone. They'd put me in a situation, and they know not to put me in these situations, because I do have anxieties, etc. And to put that upon me, knowing that I'm nervous because A, how I've been treated in the past because of DC Chadwick, but B, because of how the neighbours have made me feel, I don't want to be in that position where this has happened. Now, since this, police officers have come alone because Scott Boast is not there anymore. So that just goes to prove, you know, there's no need for two police officers here. And also, police officers have gone single-handedly to other people's houses. So, you know, yet again, the police are singling me out. They know it's going to cause me distress because that's been discussed. Yet they put me in this situation. And you're going to go, you're being difficult, you won't talk to them, you won't have them in the house. No, I won't have them in the house when they're doing this to me and they put me in this situation. So I'm going to play 10 minutes.
Two police officers. This was decided day one about the police coming in the house. It would only ever be one. Is there any reason why? I don't feel comfortable having two in the house. And is that from an experience, is it, Melanie? Yeah. Okay. So how about then we try this communication then via Microsoft Teams? No, you're wasting my time. You've arranged for Harry to come round by himself, and you've turned up in two of you. That's out of order. So, well, I mean, like I said, I believe you've had that conversation with Inspector Boast, who said that there would be two police... No, I recorded that conversation, so if he wants to keep lying, I'm going to get onto the Chief Inspector. He's a nasty piece of work, that Boast. He is not allowed to contact me ever again after what he said. He's a nasty, malicious man. He said it was Harry on his own, so if he wants to start lying, I will put the clip on the internet of him saying who was coming. Okay, well, how about, Melanie, that you just speak to me? No. That'd just be me on my own. No. I've made arrangements.
pushed into having you in here. You're not having anyone else in.
Melanie, clearly there's been somewhere in this communication chain between you, the inspector, and myself, and Lisa, there's been some sort of, somewhere someone's not understood something right.
He said it would just be you. I've got the recording. If he wants to lie, I will put it all on the internet because he was a nasty man in that conversation.
Right. I know you put some on the internet, Melanie, that's absolutely fine. Thing is, Lisa is actually really good at her job, and she's got a bit more experience than myself. Like Sean said, I'm less than 5 years in, and Lisa works with the community safety team, and she's dead good up on, long-term issues and how to really, really, help people.
I don't care.
Honestly, she's quite good at her job.
Melanie, how about me and you have a conversation on the phone?
No. I've arranged to see Harry today. Have you wasted my time? I'm not having my time wasted. I will charge you for the time you're wasting. You're not doing this to me anymore. I am not being bullied by the police.
Melanie, I'm not bullying you, am I?
The police are. Your inspector was a nasty, horrible man on the phone.
But it's us that's here today, Melanie.
You're still the police. No.
What I'm saying is, Melanie, just like Harry said, I work for the community safety team, and we work with things that are ongoing, like long term. So if I've been made aware of obviously the problems that you're having in the community, so I'd like to maybe try and help you if I can, if we can have that conversation together.
No. I'm seeing Harry today as arranged. I'm not being my time wasted. And I'm not having that inspector bullying me.
Right.
Melanie, the inspector's not here, it's just me. I don't bully you.
He did.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to, am I?
You're trying to get another person in this house, and you knew day one that would never happen.
I'm trying to talk to you and bring all the help that I possibly can.
I'm not having 2 officers in the house. I've told you that numerous times.
Literally, the inspector hasn't specified anyone, but we've had a thing, and Lisa is very, very well placed to help as much as she possibly can.
No, I'm seeing you today, not her. You can't do this to me.
The cameras there.
What?
Have you got the cameras there?
What cameras?
Yeah. Just have a look at Lisa. She's not a scary lady.
I saw her walking up the path.
Is there any chance we can just have a conversation on the phone, Melanie? And that's where we'll start. Maybe
No, I've made arrangements to see Harry today. You're not messing me around.
Look, Melanie, my inspector said that isn't the arrangement that he made with you.
Well, I've recorded him.
Communicated to me was that it was quite clear it was going to be 2 of us.
No, he didn't.
Right. Well, either there's been some misunderstanding on my end, on his end, or on your end. I don't know where.
Well, I didn't misunderstand. I'm not stupid, so stop talking down to me.
Right. Melanie, what Lisa's just going to do is she's just going to have a chat, and we'll wait outside until then. All right. But the way it's been passed to me is that it is going to be 2 of us coming to talk to you.
No, it was never 2. You know that.
How about before we come in then, Lisa gives you a call. I've got your number. I can give it to her.
No, I'm not having 2 in. I've told you that from day one. Why are you trying to force me to have 2 people in the house?
Melanie, if Lisa calls you, it'll just be 1 person via the phone.
No, I've arranged to see you. No, I've arranged to see you.
Less intimidating.
No, I'm not having 2 police officers in the house.
Melanie, we're here to try and help.
No, you should never. You knew I wouldn't have 2 people in.
Look, we're not here to lock you up or to accuse you of anything. What we're here for is to try and help, honestly.
No, I don't trust you.
You don't trust me or you don't trust the police?
I don't trust having 2 people in the house. You're making my anxiety go through the roof here. This isn't fair.
I appreciate it.
I arranged to see you, no one else.
Look, as I've said, that isn't the way the arrangement's been passed to myself, alright?
Well, if he wants to start lying, I will put what he said on the internet.
So I'll leave it there because it does go on, and I will do the other 2 parts. But basically, I was a nervous wreck anyway. I was even nervous with just Harry here. Like, I didn't feel fully comfortable because of what the neighbours were putting me through. Like I said, during a big chunk of 2020, I was in lockdown due to my physical health and being high risk, which I can prove. I've had every single vaccination, COVID, except for one, because I'm high risk, and people my age were not getting them. And I was nervous, and like I said, I had this conversation with Scott Boast. He's like, what time do you want Harry to come? Like, what day do you want to come? What's the best day for Harry to come? No mention of anyone else. He had numerous chances. I think the conversation was about half an hour long, or slightly over. Never mentioned a second person coming, and like I said, the arrangement from day one had always been it would just be Harry. Now, you might well want to think I'm being difficult, but I'm not. Lisa was very patronising to me. I did speak to her a couple of weeks later on some occasions, and her versions of those phone calls were very different to the actual reality of the phone calls, which Lisa Morgan I did record and maybe doing videos about, just to prove that you've told lies as well. Now then putting me, imagine being very nervous because you've been hounded. This was June, by the way. I'd had 3 months of daily harassment. When it first began, it was like literally 12 hours a day. They'd be out there belittling, making fun of me, pointing at the cameras, standing in my garden, telling lies about me, kicking balls at my car, getting all sorts of things going. Couldn't go in the kitchen because my kitchen's at the front of the house. I'd go hours without eating and drinking. I'd crawl in there and get medication. Sometimes it'd move like out of view, like later on. I'd go in there and it'd be like almost dark outside, and I'd be cooking in the dark. I'd burn my hands, like all sorts of injuries because I couldn't put the light on because they'd rush across and start it again. So I was very nervous, and like I said, the agreement with Sean Pearson would be it would only be Harry. So as you can hear, Harry's like going, oh, it was passed to me, like, and it was like basically saying that it was indicated or told that it would be to here, and that the inspector had like basically said it, and that they're basically now suggesting that I've misunderstood. Now, like I said, I listened to the conversation and found the part where he's like, what time do you want Harry to come? What day will be best for Harry to come? Never mention of anyone else, and like, because there's even a bit of a conversation where like I asked if they can stop filming my face because the neighbours had made me feel uncomfortable, because the ones that had never seen me had been making a point about wanting to see me. So I was very nervous about like people seeing me facially, even though obviously at the time it was like COVID and I did have a face mask on, but I didn't want my face to be filmed. So in this video where I had this conversation with Scott Boast, he basically says that Harry will point the camera so it's not on my face. So, you know, that was the only nice thing he did. They weren't going to film my face at that point because how I'd been made to feel, because this lot who hadn't seen me on the street but were targeting me, were making a big deal about trying to see me, and it made me feel uncomfortable and panicked. So during the conversation, like I said, it was agreed that they wouldn't film my face, but they would film. So, but there was never any conversation about a second person being there, because obviously I wouldn't have allowed it to happen at all, regardless. And like I said, he did bully me on the phone. I was stressed out. At one point I said, you're making me feel suicidal, and he carried on. But he was stressing me out, and in the conversation you can hear me getting more and more worked up. And because the camera, when I was speaking to the inspector, was close to me, you can hear me 10 times more than him, because the phone was on speakerphone and it was quite away from the camera, so you can hear me, and I'm very loud because I'm so stressed out. And just like there, I'm loud, A, because they're quite a distance from me, but because they kept stressing me out. But there will be a part 2 where I do play more of the video. I think there's a couple of places where I have to stop the video because I do say people's names that aren't police. But I will try and keep that all in the video, where I'll try and work out where I need to stop the video so I can stop it, skip it a few seconds, and then carry on. But you can tell I'm getting worked up. I don't want to speak to Lisa Morgan. She was put upon me like that without, you know, any consultation beforehand. And it was stressful seeing 2 police officers walk up the path when you've been targeted for 3 months non-stop, and you feel uncomfortable about being around people because how you've been made to feel by the neighbours. So that's why I refused to let them in the house. You know, there was no need to put me in that position. And then they're basically making out that I've misunderstood. And she goes and makes a phone call and comes back and basically says that Scott has said that it was 2 people discussed during the conversation, which you're going to find out it didn't. So don't forget to subscribe. There will be a part 2 coming tomorrow.